everybody? We are back again with another live, and we are going to talk about, as you can see in the topic, that reboots are pointless. As always, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, and let's get into this. You already know what's up. So, we can talk about anything, but today I want to talk about that reboots are pointless. What's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in as we wait for these notifications to go out and everybody can be in here. So, we'll give it a few more seconds and stuff. But yeah, just drop your comments and we're going to just be chatting and just hanging out and stuff. Reboots are pointless, whatever it is, whether it's video games, movies, just whatever in general, they're just pointless, honestly. They don't work. And every time they reboot and they do something new, most of the time it's even worse than what it was originally. So, we're gonna see what and how all of this goes. Exactly the same thing with the comics. How many times do the comic industry keep on rebooting constantly back to back and it doesn't work? And every time it just gets more and more sloppier. That's just my point of view. What's going on? Yes, back at it. You already know what's good. While it's closed, you already know it. That's the business for sure, because we are not stopping. We will continue to do what we got to do, and that's what that business is. What's up, Sergeant? Appreciate you for tuning in. What's going on, everybody? I see y'all coming in. What up? What up? Again, share the video, put all that good stuff out there so we can get a nice little crowd out here and stuff like that. Yeah, the same thing with the comics. They keep rebooting and they keep losing long-term readers. Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. The comic industry right now is completely down the drain, unfortunately. There's some indie comics out there, that are good, but they're hard to find just because everything is just so mainstream. You got Marvel, you got DC, so it's hard to find and discover new talent when it comes to comics in this whole industry in general. The comic industry has been compromised by government hacks. Yep, I agree with you on that one too. It's wild, but like we're seeing right now, the biggest reboot right now that we're seeing is with DC, and it's kind of shocking, but at the same time, it's no surprise because we already know that this reboot is not going to work. It doesn't have a foundation. It's a complete mess, and they're starting off bad, and it's going to end worse than where they're at right now as we continue to get closer to the release date of Superman. And not only that, when you see you all right, let's talk about this perspective. Marvel, we got to give them credit because when they had the first if you want to say the whole what it was from Iron Man all the way leading into what it was Infinity War, everything was on that solid timeline, and even though it branched out, it all connected and everything made sense. So that arc, if you want to say, was complete. Now they want to reboot and do what they've done with WandaVision, with was it can't remember the one with the horns. I can't remember right now. Loki, and everything with the timelines, and it's just a mess right now. Again, they're rebooting, and it's not working for them. And look at what they have to do now. They have to go back, bring in Chris Evans. Bring in everybody just to try to get especially with Robert Downey Jr. to get the old crowd because they know that that's where the heart of that industry when it came to the MCU was at. The same thing with DC. If DC would have just let Zack Snyder complete and do everything that he wanted, we wouldn't be talking about restore the Snyderverse right now. We wouldn't be talking about release the air cut. We wouldn't be talking about none of this. But since the studio decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna screw the fans over and we're gonna give them what they don't want. This is why they're in the mess that they are. And it's brought them down so bad that look at where their stocks are at. At $7, and last year we saw that they were at $6.66. That's the lowest all-time record, and it's just it's a mess over there at that studio right now with DC, and of course with the leadership that they have, that's not working, and it's completely bonkers. But again, this is what they brought upon themselves. Only the vocal minority of haters want reboots. True, I fully agree with you on that. And it's wild, because when you see what they're doing with this reboot with Superman, and not only with Superman, when you see with Marvel also, you see the video game industry, Like, should we really continue about that? It's unnecessary. Most of the time, what these companies need to do is just focus on what you already have established and finish it off properly, and then move on to wherever you want to. You can just, shift the route to where you want to go. You don't have to do what you're doing right now. Perfect example with James Gunn. James Gunn came in with, quote unquote, a plan, but that plan is not the way that he originally, wanted to. Because if James Gunn really wanted to win the fans and win over, the audience, he would have been like, you know what, we're gonna do and finish everything with Zack Snyder, what his vision was, and we're gonna give it proper, proper ending to it, and then we're gonna reboot after that. I, as a fan, I would have been cool with that. I would have been like, all right, that's sweet, let's do that. But no, instead, what has he done? Look at what he's done. It's gotten from bad to worse, and then now it's getting from worse to even more, messy and stuff like that. And seeing everything that he's doing, it's all about himself, and looking at what Marvel is doing, the same thing. Marvel's finally listening to the fans and saying, hey, look, we're losing the audience, and before that fully happens, and we, rip a page off of DC where their stocks are going to be in the ground, Marvel's like, let's listen to the fans and let's give them what they want. And we saw that things started shifting with Deadpool, Deadpool 3, if you want to call it. That's what I call it, Deadpool and Wolverine, because they started getting, the old crowd, the new crowd, and the future crowd of fans. And they did something really different, something new, and it was refreshing. So seeing that, what they did, that's something that WB with DC are not going to do. And unfortunately, they're right now so low into where they're at right now that everything that they're doing is just, unfortunately, is not working. And again, I'm not gonna sit here and tell them, hey, look, this is what you need to do and that's what you need to do. Like I said earlier, I'm not here to give them any free ideas because I'm not on their payroll, and I'm not going to help them to improve on what needs to be done. And this is their problem that they need to figure out and try to get out of. But I've been telling y'all for a while, the damage is already done with WB. And not only with that, when like I said, we're on the topic of reboots are pointless. The same thing applies to Transformers. You all know that I'm a huge Transformers fan. And I get it. A lot of fans are out there that they're just the same way with WB and DC. They're like, oh no, I don't like the Snyderverse. They're the same with, like, oh, I don't like Michael Bay and his vision. Look, I'm gonna just tell you how it is. When Michael Bay was there making the movies, everything was connected. And even though they got away from the first three films, they started a new trilogy with the first three. Then the second one that they were going with Mark Wahlberg, it was still connected because you can see in Transformers 4, it was still connected with the events of what happened with the previous film. And then it was branching out to a new timeline, if you want to say. And then what happens? Again, if they would have just let Michael Bay fully cook and do what he wanted to do and finish after The Last Night, and I get it, that movie wasn't all that, but at least let him finish, we would have had two solid trilogies and one full universe because it was building up towards something great with Unicron. The same thing how Zack Snyder did with Zack Snyder's Justice League. He built up to Darkseid, and then all of a sudden the studio is just like, you know what? We're not gonna do anything with it. We're just gonna leave it hanging, and that's what it is. And what did they do? They completely screwed themselves because now you have those fans that still want a proper ending when it comes to the Snyderverse, and then you have those fans from the Bayverse, such as myself. And when you don't give the fans what they want, they're gonna keep on demanding and asking, "Yo, what's up?" You get what I'm saying? So it's like if they would have just said, "Look, let's continue with what Michael Bay wants to do and finish it," cool. Then move to your reboot. And then what happens? Just because we're on the topic of Transformers, real quick, and it has to do with the reboot. What did the studio decide to do? Oh no, let's just go ahead and reboot with Bumblebee. And what happened? That movie didn't do good. Okay, let's reboot again. Let's go ahead with Rise of the Beast. It didn't work. Let's reboot for a third time. Transformers 1. It didn't work. That's already three different directors, three different visions, three different takes, and it didn't work. With Michael Bay, you had five films that were connected. They still made money, and The Last Night still, even though it was a flop, financially, it still made money because it made like what, 600 million? That's a lot of money compared to what Transformers 1 did. Terrible. It just every time it gets worse. The same thing with DC and WB. What did they do? Got away from Zack Snyder, got away from David Ayer. They didn't want to do what the fans wanted. And look at the mess that they're in. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The views don't lie. All of that tells you. And now seeing where they're heading with this whole Superman reboot, again, a reboot is not necessary. It's not needed. They could have done so much, but the studios brought this upon themselves. And the same thing is how everything in this industry is. If you have a movie, or if you have a game, you have a comic, you have whatever it is, just continue it, end it, and move on if you really want to move away from it. This is why majority of us, when it comes to, fans of the Snyderverse or whatever it is, I use that one because that's the main one I mainly talk about. We want a proper ending for Zack Snyder. We just want a proper ending to fully complete what he was promised and what we were promised as the fans, as the consumer, as the customer. And when you take that away from us, we're going to keep on fighting and asking for it. So we're going to be like, you know what? We want to know what happens with it. A lot of people don't even know that there's a Superman movie coming out. And then when they hear about it, they're like, that's not Henry Cavill, because they're still remembering that Henry Cavill was Superman. The same thing with Transformers. You have a lot of people, oh, that's still connected with Michael Bay. And some people are good, some people are against it, but the name still carries on. See what I'm saying? So it's like you've already tried it with Transformers. You had three different directors, three different takes. It didn't work. Go back to what was working with Michael Bay. This is why I say restore the Bayverse, because they made money. People were in theaters, people were spending and rewatching these films. Same thing with Zack Snyder. How many times I didn't go see when Zach put out all these movies? I saw them multiple times. I can't even keep track, and that's good because it tells you how much you were out there supporting a movie, whether it's whatever it is that you enjoy. And when you can count, oh, I saw it 5 times, you didn't see it enough. And that's the problem that these studios fail to understand, and they fail to try to give to us, the fans. If they catered to us, the fans, the audience, the customer, the consumer, and say, hey, look, what do you want? This is what we want. Okay, let's put this, let's put that. And don't come here, the same thing, and try to justify with what they did with Black Adam. A lot of people are like, well, you guys didn't support Black Adam enough. It's not that we didn't support it. We did. Remember, there wasn't a China release, and that hurt a lot the movie. And then on top of that, last minute they just threw Henry Cavill. So they're like, all right, that's still connected. Whoa, hold on. You just threw that under the rug. Look at what they did with the Flash movie. The same thing. They switched everything. And of course, courtesy of James Gunn, that's why we got what we got. The same thing has happened with Transformers. They got away from Michael Bay. They didn't want to do anything with Michael Bay with the Transformers and the Bayverse. Okay, cool. But what has happened to that brand? It's completely gone down the drain. And that's sad because they were once, when it came to the cinematic universe, on top of their A game, just like WB when they had the DCEU. And some people are going to sit and argue and try to justify, oh, well, if Zack Snyder was making so much money, they wouldn't have to reboot. It's not about that. It's about the studio and the executives that they don't know squat. They think they know what's best for business. But in the end, they just have no clue, you know? Look, Jeremy, I see your comment. You've been a Star Wars fans for years and they're not looking great. True, I agree with you. Look, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I do have friends that are into Star Wars and they tell me about it and stuff like that. It's just something about Star Wars I've never been into and things like that. But I respect the old Star Wars, if you want to say. The new one is trash. It's completely trash. And I see why the fans are upset. And that's what happens when they reboot. Now they're going to reboot. It's like there's so much reboots that you can do. One or two, okay. But when you're at the phase where, like, look, we're going to keep on rebooting, it's just not going to work. Another one that's good and they haven't rebooted, which is a good thing, I'll tell you why, is Jurassic World. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World is the same thing. Jurassic Park is what, started everything. You got the first three films. Then you got Jurassic World, that it's still connected to the old films. They're, giving and paying respects to it, but they're moving into a new and future route where they're going to be like, you know what? This is not a reboot. It's a new thing, but it's still connected because they still acknowledge events and things of the past and stuff like that. But still trying to stay, within the brand, but trying to create something new. And now we have Jurassic World Rebirth that's coming out. I'm excited, honestly. A lot of fans are not, but I am, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. And I get it. With change, things are going to change with it too, and that's another thing too, that when reboots happen, people tend to get away with it because they're like, I don't want to see this new route that they're going to go with and stuff like that. So that's understandable. And coming to Superman, a lot of people are right now worried, and that's understandable because this is a new start, it's a reboot, and at the same time, everybody has that sweet and bitter taste because of what the studio has done to us, the fans, what they've done to the actors, the actresses, the directors, the producers, the music composers, everything that has to do within the team of a movie. So I get that. Look, I see Unite. I'm a little nervous. Superman might be successful. I agree with you. You know why? Because look, I spoke about this earlier on the live stream. If you heard it, good. If you didn't, you missed out. But the point is, look, we as fans need to stop, and especially other YouTubers. So if there's any other YouTubers, I won't say names, but other big channels that have the big following, look, we need to stop telling James Gunn how to fix Superman, how to fix what he's doing. Because if we tell him, they're watching, they're listening, and they're acting upon on it. Look, if you saw, they already changed the logo for what is it, Supergirl, and it's a new logo that they just posted today. So why did they do that? Because everybody was making fun of the old logo, and now what do we have? A new logo. The new logo is even cheesier than what they had before. And the same with Superman. Everybody's complaining and saying everything, all the mistakes, what they need to fix, how they need to fix. Look, I'm telling y'all straight up, the more you do that, the more you're giving free ideas to the studio. And then the way that Minecraft is making money at the box office, that puts it in a situation where it's like, all right, stupidity is selling, but is that going to happen with Superman? It could be a possibility. Remember, Superman now is Marvelized. That's it. The whole Marvel formula is already in effect with and at DC. The problem that DC had since the beginning was they hired Joss Whedon. Oh, he made the Avengers. And that doesn't mean nothing. Look at how that ended. Oh, let's get James Gunn because he made Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not going to work. We're going to see on July 11 that it's going to tank and it's not going to work. This is why a lot of us are using this whole wallets closed movement. And as we continue to get closer, our wallets must remain locked. That's it, period. Look, I see your comments. Cavill is Clark. I don't run with gun and corn, corn sweaty. Restore the Snyderverse. Yes, I agree with you, my friend. A lot of us are seeing that. And then you have people from James Gunn that used to support him saying, hey, I don't even believe in this new vision. They know that they messed up. They created the Guardians of the Galaxy Superman. It's all Marvelized, and it's completely sad to see the situation and the state that this company is in you know and the more that we get into it, it's just going to keep on getting more and more cringe. This is why I say we have to stop giving them ideas and helping them how to fix it. We need Superman to tank, and what better way is that? Don't give no ideas, don't say how to fix it until after the movie, because if you tell them now, they're all watching and listening to us, and they're going to act upon it. So when the movie comes out, they're going to be able to fix it. We cannot keep giving them any more free ideas. Black Adam failing means nobody wants Man of Steel 2. Yes, because 10-second cameo is how to gauge audiences. Yeah, it's like they try to pull that bait and it didn't work. People want Man of Steel 2. We all know. That's why when you see the polls that I put, other people that put, it's always Henry Cavill that gets selected. And that's awesome to see that. Hey, CS, will you cover a video on Sinners? I might. I'm not really too much into that type of movie, but I might check it out. So we'll see. I might do something on it. Super Woke Legacy will flop. Yep, that's the whole goal. It has to. It has to completely. All right, restore the Snyderverse. Yes, my friends, you already know that's exactly what we are fighting for, and we have to keep on going for it. Lois Lane's supposed to be the stunning and brave woman that teaches Big Dumb Superman how to be a better man, and she even saves Clark at the end. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying, and that's what's pretty much the whole movie about. It's going to be focused on Lois Lane, and of course, the fem power. That's all. That's all this movie is going to be, full of agendas and wokeness and stuff like that. So. you know. It is what it is. WB will inflate the numbers like they did with the trailer. Exactly. Notice that when WB got hacked recently, those numbers disappeared and they dropped. And that trailer, again, they're trying to push it and do the same thing. And again, the desperation is real. The studio knows that not a lot of people are going to turn out to go watch that movie, and that's good. That way they're aware, because again, July 11 is going to determine everything, where this is going to lead the company to. Yes, restore the Snyderverse, release the air cut. Exactly. That's what we're fighting for, and we will stop at nothing. Let's see. All right. Gunn treats superheroes like jokes. Exactly. To James Gunn, it's all a circus. That's exactly what it is. It's all a circus. But that circus act ends July 11, because that's when we will come together, and that's exactly what will happen. All right, the real numbers show that the new DCU is DOA. That is why WB pulled Super Bowl ad and cut 25 minutes from the movie. Yeah, they don't even believe in their own brand. Like if they really did, they would have been all over this. But they're not. They're not. They're just like, you know what? Let's just fulfill the contract with James Gunn and let's move on. And if you notice, everything is pretty much up in the air, because everything is right now unsure when it comes to, to this company of WB. And the same thing with other companies, the same thing with Hasbro, with the Transformers brand. Everything is up in the air. Nobody can say, hey, this is what we're going to do. Look at that. Even Hasbro and Paramount have suffered so bad financially from the box office, from the last three films that they did with Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast, and Transformers 1, which one was the worst out of all of them. And look at where they're at right now. They're not even going to be funding their own projects because they don't have money. They're becoming like WB. They've literally spent all their money on dumb things. And WB has done the same thing. They've lost a lot of money. They've made money, but they keep on losing money. And that's hurting the studio big time, completely. Great collab with Harsh Critics. Yeah, that was dope. That was a fun interview we had the other day. Hopefully we can get another one soon. I know he's busy, I'm busy, but hey, from here to the next month, anything is possible. So if y'all want to see, Harsh Critic back on with right here, let them know also, so we can coordinate that and make it happen, because that's what we need. We need our voices to be heard, be seen, and most of all, we know that they're watching. So, and when I say they, I'm talking about WB, the studios, and all these people. So, restore Snyderverse, give me Man of Steel 2 instead of Superman. Yep, I agree with you. A lot of us want that. A lot of us want that. And we're going to get it in due time, because a lot of people are saying, oh, let me go back to that. Look, honestly, if Superman does flop, which we know it's going to flop, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's not going to help, restore Snyderverse. It's not going to get you what you want. Let me stop you right there. It is, because the studio's going to have to reconsider and say, hey, what do we do now? You're not going to stop the cinematic universe, whichever one you want to do, because it makes them money. Even if they're flopping, they're going to have to really consider it and say, hey, look, we're not making no money. We got away from Zack Snyder, and we were losing money with him. Now we're even losing double the money with James Gunn. What do we do? You're gonna have to go back to where you left off. What made you money? What made you money? Everything that Zack Snyder put out. If it wasn't making money, why is Netflix right now, right, over $1,000 in stock share? And how come WB is at $7 a share? You see the big difference? That's a massive, massive difference. And don't come at me and tell me, oh, but you don't know how the stock market works. I don't have to understand it. Numbers don't lie. You can't compare $1,000 stock shares to a $7 stock share. It's a big difference. That's a big, massive difference. That's telling you right there. And some of y'all might be like, oh, what's the point of the stocks? It's not like you're getting anything from it. You're right. I'm not getting anything from it. But you know who is? The fans. You know who else? The investors. Because if there's no stocks, that means that investors, people with money, are not going to spend on a company. Therefore, that means that that company is not going to be able to put out products. So they're going to be like, you know what? Why should we invest in it? It's just like you're gambling. That's exactly what that is. You're gambling. So in the end, you think people are going to gamble against, with WB and say, I'm going to invest this much money, but I don't even know if I'm going to make back some. That's why. That's where it matters. People are spending money on Netflix, and people are going to be, I know I'm going to make back my money. And that's why they're doing it. Because with Netflix, $1,000 a share, hell, that is a lot of money, honestly. WB has been purchasing tickets to their own movies and giving them away to help their numbers. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, honestly, Nate. It that happens a lot in this industry. They buy it, and again, that falls under a tax write-off because at the end of the year they can report that and say, "Look, we sold this much," and they get a tax break. That's why. So a lot of fraud things are gonna happen from here to July 11th with this studio. Don't be surprised. Right? The only thing that's worth looking at from this James Gunn Superman is the fan art. Yeah, the fan art is all type. Some is good, some of them is like what the hell, honestly. But it is what it is. Mr. Gunn isn't suitable for DC. Exactly, exactly. He's just not. He's really not. Restore the Bayverse. Thank you. Exactly. That's what I've been saying for a while. The Bayverse needs to get restored because that's when money was out there for the studio and the enjoyment for us, the fans. Look, honestly, when I would go see the Transformers movies with Michael Bay, I would see those movies multiple times. I own them on physical media, and I'm like, I even own the games, everything. That's how much I enjoy it. But it was fun. You're watching these movies on the big screen, the action, the surround sound, like everything is just an awesome experience. And that's something that Hasbro and Paramount have not been having since the last night. And that's been a few years ago. It's already proven the studio needs and Transformers need Michael Bay back so they could be making all of that money back at the studio. But they refuse to do it, so that's why they are where they are right now in the situation. WB executives are purple Twinkies because they are worried Super Woke Legacy will be the next Snow Woke. Yeah, you're right, completely, honestly. I have no idea who that is. So, all right, I'm gonna just skip that one. All right, totally agree with you. Used Mr. Gunn against him and can't blame Batman 2 that they did with Snyderverse and Zack Snyder restored Snyderverse. Yes, true. Look, what they're doing to Matt Reeves right now, they're doing him dirty. Honestly, WB doesn't care. They're shady. That's who they are. So that's why I'm telling y'all. Why should we continue to support this shady company? If for years we've been telling them what we want and they don't want to give it to us, why do we have to keep on giving them money? We don't. We don't. The power is in your hands, my friends. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time you are around the world, the power is in your hand. You know why? Because you're the fan, you're the customer, and most of all, you're the consumer. And if you don't want something, you do not have to support it. The same way, like I tell everybody, look, on this channel, you know, I get it. Some people are going to agree, some people are going to disagree, and that's fine. Just be respectful, and that's cool. But then you have people that come here and try to change my point of view, my opinion, my thought. Look, if you don't like it, just go somewhere else. Honestly, no hard feelings. But we're here because we all interact and we're enjoying the content that we're getting. You get what I'm saying? So it is what it is, but I agree with you with that one. I plan on printing up some screenshots of Gunn's old tweets, putting on a poster, and sitting outside my biggest local theater. Yeah, we can do that. And those, if you notice, all of those pictures are coming back out. And it's awesome to see that because all of that is going to haunt the studio and is going to hurt Superman when it releases because people are tired of it. Michael Bay Universe and Snyderverse and many others inspiring me. Yeah, they inspire you. That's good. You see, because that's good filmmaking. That's what we need. We need good movies like that. I can't wait for Batman versus Superman 10th anniversary coming next month. Next March. All right, for next year. Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be crazy. Like I can't believe it. 10 years already since we got Batman versus Superman. We would have been done right now with the Snyderverse, honestly. But again, it's the studio. They wanted to play hardball. That's what we're giving to them. All right. Let's see. I love drawings and I written my own book. How Much Time is a book on Amazon called The Echoes of Yesterday by Joshua Holmes. Nice. That sounds pretty good. The Echoes of Yesterday. That sounds pretty dope, honestly. Congrats on that. I'm still working on my comic. I've been slacking, but I need to get back on it, honestly. All right. So Matt Reeves helped WB push Affleck and robbed him from his standalone Batfleck film. Yeah, that's true. He did that. Remember, Matt Reeves had the opportunity to work with Ben Affleck and make the Batfleck movie, and he said no. And look at where he's at now. Feel what we are going through. That's exactly what is happening. They're screwing over Matt Reeves also. Also, when James Gunn did the Suicide Squad, I didn't do that. It didn't do that well. Exactly. And there's no excuse of because of COVID and the pandemic. No, because a few months later, that movie came out, I think, in like August of 2021. So the pandemic was still going on during that time. And then in December, I think it was December or January, Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and that made over $1 billion. I remember the theaters being so crowded. So there's no excuses. And that's still through the middle of the pandemic. So, it just tanked, but James Gunn fans don't want to accept that, honestly. In your opinion, Affleck, yes, Pattinson, no. Yep, a lot of us can agree with that. Matt Reeves get what he deserved for not following Affleck's vision. True, 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 true. Big time. In my opinion, Transformers 1 to 3 are peak quality. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Those are the best ones, honestly. 1 to 3, that trilogy is awesome. What they did with the fourth one with the Dinobots, that was cool. The fifth one, that's when things started going down the hill. But I don't hold Michael Bay fully accountable for that because he's a director and they worked with what they could, what the studio wanted, and it is what it is. But it was setting up something good because we were gonna see Unicron. That's what we need. One final film, close the Bayverse, and I can move on as a fan. WB pushing Matt Reeves out is just karma coming back to bite Reeves in the butt. True, I agree with you. Look, they're doing to him what they did to us, and now the Matt Reeves fans can see and understand what the Snyder fans have been fighting for and been talking about all this time. Remember, I've been saying it. They're going to cancel the Batman 2, and that's exactly where this is heading. All right. Also, I just want to say a huge thank you for being honest. Look, I appreciate that, Jeremy. Honestly, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it as real as possible. I've been doing that since day one, and I get it. Another thing too, I guess me being too real, a lot of people don't really want to watch the videos because lately the views haven't been as they were before. But again, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm gonna tell you straight up how it is. This is for us. I'm fighting for all of us. And some people just don't want to hear it, but it's like the saying says, reality hurts. The truth hurts. And that's what I bring to y'all. The truth, the facts, because I get all type of insults. It's all gravy with me. It's all good. I'm not gonna stress it but again, I thank you, Jeremy. I really do. That means a lot, honestly. It means a lot when everybody's watching and dropping the comments. That really means more to me than anything else. Man of Steel made 640 million and audience score, Rotten Tomatoes 75. Yeah, so 640 million is still a lot of money. So let's see what happens with this one coming up. Will it surpass 640 million? Highly doubt it. James Gunn is a narcissist, and that ruins everything he touches. Yeah, that's all he does. All he cares about is just himself and who he is. If there was a council of Superman, I guarantee they wouldn't let David Cornsweet Superman in because of how much of a joke he is. Yeah, honestly, like where they're at right now is because they've allowed this. The studio has allowed all of this to be the way that it is right now. Thoughts on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy? Awesome. I grew up with it. Just like with Keaton, that was a cinema peak of that time from like what is it like the 90s to like the early 2000s. That was awesome, honestly, completely. Pedro, what up? The DCU is cooked. Hell yeah, they're cooked. Complete charbroiled. All right, the DCU will be restored. Yes, yes, it will. In due time, my friends. In due time. We need the Snyderverse to be restored immediately. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure something is happening behind the closed doors because things are going to be shifting left and right as we continue to get closer to Superman. And not only that, but remember, in January 2026, once Comcast comes into effect with that partnership or network that they're doing with WB, a lot of things are going to be shifting. And things always tend to shift towards the end of the year. And you're going to see. Watch. We will see soon how things are going to be shifting. Ben Affleck knows what Gunn is when they asked him to direct a project back when they announced this flop cinematic universe, and he said no, restore the Snyderverse. Hell yeah. Even Ben Affleck knew. He was like, nah, I don't want to be part of this. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. Exactly, Pedro. And the Bayverse. Hell yeah. When I see fans that are still asking and they're like, you know what? I I want the Bayverse to be restored. I appreciate that, honestly, because it shows you where the quality was with these movies. And Not everything has to be comic accurate. Not everything has to be, true to the source. Everything has to be exactly how it is in the comics. First of all, Transformers are just toys. There's never been a real solid story until the cartoons came in. But it doesn't have to be like that. That's why I love about what Michael Bay gave us. I love what Zack Snyder gave us. They gave us different takes on these movies. And that was awesome. They just gave us something futuristic, and every time you look at it, they just age even better. I'm like, wow, look, we're about to be 10 years into what we got with Batman versus Superman, and it's aging like fine wine. That tells you that's quality right there. You can't go watch James Gunn The Suicide Squad and be like, oh, that's peak cinema. No, it's not. Every time it's like more and more cringe. I'm like, damn, this is aging terrible by the time that it passes. Like every 6 months, every 3 months is worse than what it was before. I honestly wish we had gotten a fourth Nolan Batman film. That was the plan, but again, the studio just decided to reboot again, which I'm happy that they did because we got Zack Snyder and we got the Snyderverse. And of course, we know that with the beginning with Man of Steel, Christopher Nolan was involved. So that's why I opened the door to a bigger and better thing. And thanks to Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan, we got that amazing universe. And that's why we're still here fighting. And we will continue to do this because that's exactly what we, the fans, want. Keep it real, CS. We all fighting the good fight. True. I appreciate that, my friend. I truly appreciate that. All right. Gunn was never going to allow Reeves' Batman trilogy to compete with his stuff. True, I agree with you. He's just not, honestly. All James Gunn wants to do is do his reboot, play in his playground, and that's it. He's like a little stubborn kid with his toys. He's like, this is mine, and that's all mine. And look at where it's leading, honestly. It's going to be wild. It really is. Pedro, yes, money to Jurassic Park and Fantastic Four. I'm telling you straight up. Jurassic World Rebirth is going to be number one in the box office. Fantastic Four is going to be second at the box office. Those the main two that are going to make so much money at the box office. Superman, it ain't even going to top up that. It's just not. It's like it's dinosaurs we're talking about. People want to see that of all ages. You got kids, you got adults, you got middle age, you got everybody. And Fantastic Four, because of course it's Marvel. It's the MCU. It's connecting. It's opening the next phase. So hell yeah, people are gonna go watch that. James Gunn Superman, that's a circus. That's straight up just that's just jokes, honestly. WB sold hundreds of millions of dollars in swag off Man of Steel alone, and they're still selling merchandise with Snyderverse. That's incredible. Look at that. We just got the Alfred toy that went up for pre-order a few days ago. I completely forgot, and by the time I went to try to place my order, I missed out. But of course, they're gonna re-release it. They always do that and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But it shows you that it sells. People still want that. And let's not forget that McFarlane toys don't stop until sometime midsummer of 2026. So we still have a year. We could. Rumor has it that there's a Batmobile coming from Ben Affleck. So what do you think, that that's not gonna sell out? Of course, it's gonna sell out. So it's just a matter of time when they release it and stuff like that. So it's awesome seeing all that merchandise, how it comes and it sells out everywhere. Everyone knew Gunn was garbage except for Momoa and Levi. Yeah, man. Levi damaged his career in this industry because look at where he's at now. Nobody wants to work with him, and especially what he did. It's just, man, they should just not said nothing, and it is what it is. And Momoa, let's sell out Momoa. That's it. Honestly, I've talked about that many times. That once the Snyderverse gets restored, we don't need Aquaman anymore because he's already been replaced by Mera. That's where it left off. That's where I want to see pick up and continue. We don't need Aquaman anymore because remember, we don't know what Zack Snyder has planned for Justice League 2 and 3. And whatever it involves, I'm down with it. Let's go. That's how I see it as a fan. Ben Affleck is a big comic book fan from way back. He knows his stuff for real. He really does. And let's not forget, I think The Accountant 2 is already in theaters. I got to go see that too. And if you've seen the first one, look, I'm getting chills just telling y'all. The first movie of Ben Affleck, The Accountant, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. That movie is badass. That right there is a Batfleck movie. But him wearing, like without the bat suit. That's how good it is. Go see it and watch. You'll tell me. You come back and let me know about it. That movie is really good. The first one. I got to see the second one. The TVA definitely has prune the James Gunn universe. Yeah, yeah, the TVA thing. Oh man, that's completely messed up, but that's true. If the Bayverse does get restored, we need Shia LaBeouf back. Yeah, that's true. That's what a rumor's going around. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Again, it's just a rumor that they want to do one final film, that they want to have Shia LaBeouf along with Mark Wahlberg, Megan Fox, and I guess part of the original first cast and part of the second one. Well, the fourth film with Mark Wahlberg. That would be dope, honestly. That's why I say they need to make one big epic, probably like 4 hour movie. Combine the six, connected into the last night and opening the door to whatever the reboots were, whatever the hell they wanted to do. But I just want to see them go at it with Unicron, not like what we saw in Rise of the Beast. I want to definitely see the Transformers, the everybody just go at it against Unicron. One big epic fight, just like we saw in the Avengers, but with Transformers. That would be dope. That would be really, really awesome. Guys, we need to get louder with DCU support once Super Flop comes out with Cornball's streaming mass. Oh, streaming Man of Steel. Yeah, exactly. We have to, and we will. Gun was sharing corn with Jung and Snit on Twitter. I don't know what that is, but okay. I know I saw something about with John Cena, with the whole thing with the belt and stuff like that. And of course, they're doing it because of Peacemaker and stuff. So I'm not interested, honestly. Even that match at WrestleMania was boring, honestly. I was like, yo, like this is not it no more. 100% Goons braving the bull will be straw to break the camel's back for the Reese fans, unfortunately. Restore Snyderverse released the air cut. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We never got Unicron on the big screen. Nope, we didn't. We got a tease in Rise of the Beast, but that still doesn't, it doesn't fill that void, honestly. In my opinion, Green Lantern should have gotten a sequel that tied into the DCEU. I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you, Junior. That is true. Look, Green Lantern is straight up, it's underrated. I enjoyed that movie, honestly. And remember, Zack Snyder wanted to bring in Ryan Reynolds to reprise his role for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And of course, we had Toby Emmerich that he didn't let Zack because he told the studio that they wanted to do lanterns. And here we are years later that they're finally working on lanterns. That has nothing to do and it doesn't look like anything of lanterns. DCU DOA, bring back the Snyderverse, finish the story. Yep, I agree with you. I truly agree with you, my friends. It's awesome seeing how everybody's still fighting and we continue to go down this route, still voicing what we want. I do agree with the Michael Bay verse Age of Extinction, so underrated. I don't know why that one was received so poorly, but it was $1 billion success. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. It was $1 billion success, and that's all that matters. And they cut out a lot of stuff that was supposed to happen in Age of Extinction. It's one of my honestly, it's one of my guilty pleasures. I really love that movie, especially because of the Dinobots. That's the only reason why I really enjoy that. But again, the studio just I don't know who they're trying to cater to. Honestly. All right. By the way, need that Batmobile love McFarlane toys. Yeah. Yeah, McFarlane's been putting out some good stuff when it comes to the Batmobiles and all that good stuff. I love Henry Cavill Superman, but the guy's 41 and has to look after his newborn child, spend time with his family. He's too old to continue playing Superman anyway. No, he's not. No, he's not. Come on, yo. Come on. Come on. Get out of here with that nonsense. I'm going to tell you right now. Michael Keaton is old. Dude is almost 75. And he came back to reprise his role as Batman for The Flush. So if that's allowed, then Henry Cavill is too. And he's much younger than he is. So don't come at me with that, honestly. I respect your opinion, but nah, man, come on. Let's be real. All right. The Echoes of Yesterday by Joshua Holmes. Is it possible you can send that link to Harsh Critics? Because I know some of his videos you send a link to and many others. I could try sending it to him. I'll let him know about it if you want. But yeah. All right, Levi will do fine once Saffron and Gunn are booted to the curb. Yeah, it could change. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm a person that I believe in second chances, and what Levi did with the whole thing that he was straight up a clown, honestly. But if Zack Snyder was to come back and run DC Studios, would I want to see Levi reprise his role as Shazam under Zack Snyder's leadership? Hell yeah, hell yeah. It would be awesome, honestly. I have a feeling because remember when Zack used Jared Leto in Zack Snyder's Justice League, completely amazing. And a lot of people were like, "Yo, he redeemed himself." I mean, to me, he still did good in Suicide Squad. But seeing that, wow, I was like, man, like We really need to see Jared Leto again as Joker. They probably can restore Snyderverse and Michael Bay universe. Yes, they can. For sure they can. The only thing is they need to hurry up and do it, honestly, because they want to make money. That's what they need to do. Yeah, WrestleMania sucked. Honestly, it did. It was like all this excitement, and in the end, yeah, it was a huge letdown. I like the Bay films, but human parts so annoying. Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place for it. I like the part with the human and the emotion side, but let's be real. This is a Transformers movie. I want to see these robots go at it and just fight, destroy everything, and it's just put all that action, put a little bit of story human side, but mainly focus on the robots, and that's what I want to see. And it was entertaining. Sinners wasn't quality film independently produced by visionary director Ryan Coogler brought before three studios fought to buy because of the 90 million budget. Yeah, I heard that they're making their money back, so I guess kudos to them. That's good for them. But I don't know, just Sinners doesn't catch my attention, honestly. I think it's like vampires and stuff like that. I'm not really into vampires. All right, the thing that we need to relax, a lot of people need to realize is that people want to see these classic heroes taken serious. They don't want to see the goofy, lighthearted nature of the characters. That's true. I agree with you, Trey. That is true. It's the goofy, lighthearted part that I have a problem with. It could be lighthearted, but it's just the goofy part that I'm like, you know what, you lost me with that. Especially when it comes to these iconic characters. Like as much as people want to see happy-go-lucky Superman, Transformers, or whatever, it doesn't work. It's why the reboots of those franchises back in the 90s work. Yeah, that's true, completely. Because they took it serious. And now it's just completely it's cringe. It's cringe. Even watching the trailers. Green Lantern 2011 is better than most MCU and most DC since 2017. True. I'm telling you, Green Lantern is underrated. I like it, for what it is. Like I own the Blu-ray. It's my guilty pleasure. I have no shame saying that. It was much better than what we're getting now. Wayne T. Carr, John Stewart. He was down, and it was going to happen. But you got to keep in mind, everything changed the moment that James Gunn came on board, and they started reshoots on the Flash, because originally Zach had reached out to Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds was down. Zach convinced him, but things were kind of shifting, and of course, things were like, well, he's working on Deadpool at the time. This is way early stage before even Deadpool started production, and there was this one time that Ryan Reynolds went, I think it was to Brazil Comic Con or something like that. This was probably like 3 years ago or something like that, or probably three and a half. And he was joking about it, like, oh, that he was gonna be in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it was true. He was just saying that to, I think, test the waters and things to see what the fans wanted, and the fans lost their, they lost their minds. They were like, hell yeah, and it was supposed to happen, but then what we got with the Snyder cut, because of course Toby Emmerich, But it is what it is, But things could change, anything can happen, and in the end, money talks. Black Adam should have been made more darker with a hard R rating. That was the plan. They were going to do it. If you look at how Black Adam is, they have jokes in it, but look at it. It's a PG-13. It's a strong PG-13 movie. If you watch that movie with an open mind and remove the jokes in your mind and just focus on the serious part, Black Adam, to me, this is just to me, is connected in the Snyderverse because it has the same tone, the same vibe, it has that same style. So you could see what The Rock was doing. He was trying to connect it within that serious tone. But of course, you have Walter Hamada at the time, and then you see the transition with James Gunn coming in, because remember, James Gunn's wife appears in Black Adam. She makes a cameo. So, and then James Gunn tried to wipe his hand. He's like, "Oh, I had nothing to do with that. Bullshit. You did have something to do with it. Come on, don't come here and bullshit us. We know what's up. You know." So in the end, they screwed over The Rock. They screwed over us, the fans. They screwed over Henry Cavill. And look at where we're at right now. This is why July 11, my friends, wallets closed. We have to keep those wallets closed, because honestly, we're going to show them what's up. Robert Downey Jr. did Iron Man at 46. Like, he, for real. Exactly. Like, the age doesn't matter. It's just, Man, I'm just tired of all these excuses. Honestly, it's ridiculous. What's up, man? What up, JC? Batman versus Superman, best comic book movie next to Watchmen. Nice, nice. Hell yeah. A lot of people like it, and we enjoy it, and that's the whole point of it. All right, Saffron screwed Levi over and had a good reason to be mad, but he shouldn't have kept it to himself. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. All right, the goofy cornball Superman is a is a relic of the past. True DC fans want a shared universe without MCU influence. Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. That's exactly what we want. We want without the MCU influence. No influence whatsoever of Marvel and Disney. The director's cut of Green Lantern is much better than the theater cut. You know what? No, that I'm about to go watch it now. All right, so people say they love Superman, but the only thing that's selling from Superman is absolute Superman. They're not buying the Action Comics or the Superman series comic. I wouldn't be surprised, but then again, the industry with the comics are right now down the dump, and people are just not buying it. They're just not. What is selling is the indie comics, independent comics, independent ones good because I haven't even read one. And it's hard. I don't really read honestly. Like I don't have time to read. But if it does catch my attention, like at a convention or something, I'll pick it up or something like that. So, but there is good stuff out there. It's just not with DC right now. Besides Absolute that I keep hearing and stuff. I wish they went through with Ryan Reynolds that had the scene with Brandon Root Superman. That would have been dope. It really would have been dope. There's so many things that they could have done, but they just chose not to. I think I just think that I just think that James Gunn needs to stay in Marvel. Yeah, that's where he belongs. Honestly, I believe, and I agree with you, Jeremy. He needs to be back at Marvel. And I think this is me. I'm just speculating. I think once Superman tanks and does bad, in the end, James Gunn, regardless, he's still gonna go over to Marvel because when they work their way up to Secret Wars, they're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember, it's still part of that universe. Who else runs Guardians of the Galaxy? James Gunn. That's what he needs to do. That's why he's the Guardians of the Galaxy, and leave everything else to Zack Snyder, David Ayer, and stuff like that. Black Adam was dumb in so many ways, though. He learned English out of nowhere. The kid in the movie was annoying, and Fate wore nerfed to hell. Yeah, I agree with you with that. But again, like I said, if you remove all that's unnecessary in any movie. Watch it without removing the jokes and all that corniness, and the movie is a lot much better, honestly. All right. Yeah, age doesn't matter for Cavill Superman. He brings the physique, he brings the star power, and he is more Superman than Corn Wet Balls. Restore the Snyderverse without a doubt. Without a doubt, my friend. Oh, without a doubt. I know for a fact that Black Adam versus Superman would have been a $1 billion film. Hell yeah, for sure. And remember, he was also supposed to fight Shazam. So if all three of them would have gone at it, oh, that would have been nuts. It would have been completely nuts. It would have been out of this world completely. It would have been fun. Black Adam was originally planned to be rated R. The Rock agreed to lighten the tone to make it more like Shazam, as Consolation and exchange for Cavill knowledge and it connects into Shazam because of course you have that wizard, you have that whole knowledge Shazam. Again, it was all supposed to connect and lead up to the chemistry that they were all going to go at it. All right. Hey, are you ever thinking about potentially making a movie of your own? Yeah. You know what? I'm working on something. Hopefully, in due time, I can do it and I can show y'all, and we can get something planned out and things. So yeah, I'm working on something. Hopefully, it's not gonna be anytime soon. But like I said, I am working on my own comic. I gotta get that completely off the ground. Once I do, I'm gonna just let you know that I do plan on making something off of my own original comics and stuff like that. So again, hopefully, like I've been slacking. I admit it, but I need to get off. And I got to get back on the grind and I got to start showing y'all because I've worked on some good stuff. Bear with me on that and stuff like that. All right, so let's see. The Absolute Universe is garbage. Wonder Woman is the only good one. Crowdfunded comics are good. Inglourious Basterds is trash. Glorious Rex, and the other indie comics from Image or Boom. Yeah, you see, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I heard I heard that at least one of the original test screenings for Black Adam was off the R-rated cut. I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, that's what they do when they start doing early screenings and stuff like that. Jurassic World Rebirth announced its music composer. Oh, nice. Who's the music composer? I have to check that out. Look, I'm gonna tell you straight up that Jurassic World is going to own this summer. There's no and ifs or buts. Jurassic World is going to own the box office this year. Universal for the win. I'm telling y'all straight up. Cornball is Cavill's slower brother in an alternate alternative universe. I wouldn't be surprised. CS, when will you make some videos on quality films and not just superhero films or action films or what you call underground films? That could be something I could work on. Maybe on the next live, I could do some. I'll try to look into some, like some things that I can do with that. So most likely I'll do a live. I'll try to cook something up just with that topic. All right. I would love to have seen Bane, Riddler, Catwoman, and Sinestro in the Snyderverse. Yeah, that would have been dope. Sometimes I think about this. This is just me. When you see Ben Affleck's Batman and Batman versus Superman, when he's waking up and he has that chick in his bed, I was like, was that Selena Kyle? I mean, it's never acknowledged. It's never even hinted at. But in my mind, I'm like, damn, was he just banging Catwoman? Like, what a Chad, That's just me. That's just me. Um, Give us that Man of Steel air cut Batfleck solo movie WB. We don't want to run with gun or corn sweaty balls. Cavill is Clark. Restore the Snyderverse. Hell yeah. Hell yes. You know it. Yes, road to 3,000 subscribers. Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Honestly, it's slowly getting there. It's getting there. I can't wait. And again, it's thanks to each and every one of y'all, wherever you are around the world. I truly appreciate that. Every time y'all tune in, you leave your comments, your messages, all that good stuff. And good or bad, it's all good. I see the comments. I try to see all of them, and just so y'all know, heads up. Sometimes I'm not even like deleting comments, and I only delete the ones that like when people cross the line and stuff, then I'll delete it or block and stuff like that, or when they're spam. But for the most part, if you see that I hit a heart on it, sometimes for some reason, I don't know if it's YouTube or something, but like it. Yo, I just liked it. You get what I'm saying? So it's like it's weird. It's weird. So just so y'all know. But if you see a heart, that means that I literally myself went in and I read your comment and I liked it. Sometimes I'll try to respond, but it's hard because it's just so many comments and stuff like that. But that's why I put the little heart and the like. So I really appreciate that from all of y'all. I hope Snyderverse come back. If it's not, I'm done with DC movies. Yeah, honestly. But I have a feeling that it's going to change and we will get it soon. It's just a matter of time. That's all. I can't wait for Henry's Highlander. Oh, that's gonna be good. That would be nice. It's the composer who did Godzilla 2014, The Shape of Water, Harry Potter, and the Deadly Hollows Part 1 and 2. Oh, interesting. Now I'm gonna have to go listen to the music score for sure. I hope they have the iconic da-na-na-na-na, because that's Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and all that good stuff. So we will see what they give us. But I know they're gonna put out something good. Also, next time you guys watch Batman versus Superman, is there a Riddler when he's in the armor and spear? I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to see that. And people never learn from the Hellboy reboot. That's a perfect one, honestly. Look, I'm not into Hellboy, but yeah, I've heard it. I've heard that it's really really bad, and it's just terrible. There's so many reboots out there that are like really really bad, honestly, and it's sad. It's sad. It really is. Everyone I talk to about movies, they're excited that they mentioned the Accountant 2 and Jurassic Park. Yep, I'm telling y'all. Like the Accountant 2, that's on my to-do list. I'm gonna try to see if I can go watch it sometime this week or the weekend. And for sure Jurassic World once it comes out, and all that stuff. Now another thing too, I don't know if y'all heard, but apparently there's a rumor going around. Then I think in June, early June, they're gonna start putting the tickets already up for Superman. So this is going to be fun to see how all of this is going to be as they get closer to that. But the tickets are gonna go up for pre-sale in Japan first, and it's going to get 2 days early release before it comes out here in the States. I'm telling y'all, It, this is going to be interesting. The next 2 to 3 months, just seeing when all this, how it's going to unfold. On the one pillars, he's the can, the suit wears a spear, graffiti, question mark, and mention I meant. Keep an eye out. I'm gonna have to go and rewatch it, honestly. Since you said that, now I'm gonna have to go rewatch it just to see that question mark. All right. No one's talking about people. They're not really feeling it, but this is what happens with the studio and stuff like that. All right, it wouldn't be hard to do comic movies. Literally, I would bring Mask of the Phantom to live action. Yeah, that would be dope. But again, like these studios, they don't listen, they don't care, but they're gonna care when they start seeing that those numbers are not, reaching the numbers that they thought that they wanted. But yeah, so with this being said, I want to thank y'all for watching, for tuning in, all that good stuff. Again, reboots are pointless. Hit that subscribe, share the video, keep posted, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Y'all stay safe, and until next time, peace.